name is Helen Thompson. I'm the Education Coordinator at the Museum of Culpeper History. And today, as part of our hands-on history program, I'm going to show you guys how to make dinosaur balloon decorations. So why do we learn about dinosaurs in Culpeper? Well, fun fact, there are actually dinosaur tracks found in Culpeper out at the Lugstone Quarry. So today, we're going to do a little bit of history and we're also going to do a little bit of crafts. For our end product today, we are going to be making dinosaur balloon decorations. So this craft is pretty easy and it uses a lot of stuff you have on hand. So basically all you're gonna need is typical party balloons, cardstock or construction paper, but I do suggest using multicolored cardstock, and then just normal Scotch tape. You're also going to need a pair of scissors, and yeah, that'll about be all. You can also use our provided printable PDF of the different limbs you can use, or if you're feeling creative, you can draw your own. Okay, so we're going to start with making a stegosaurus. So I'm going to be using green paper, but it is up to you what color you choose. So what we're going to do first is we're going to lay out our stencil over top of it. So we want to be able to see the lines that we're drawing on. Now it helps if you take a piece of Scotch tape and then just sort of tape it down on each side so that way your paper isn't slipping around. All right. So, as you can see, we have a bunch of different limbs here. We have the head, we have the tail, and then we have the little spikes that go along the back, and the hands or legs and feet. So, to start, we're going to get cutting. All right, so we've got our tail to start with. Now you're going to want to keep doing this for the rest of the shapes that we have, but for time-saving purposes, I already have all the shapes we need cut out. So since I've got my green paper, I'm going to use a green balloon. Now I don't want my balloon to be blown up too big because we want our shapes to be proportional. So blow your balloon up and then pick up one of your shapes, let's say the head, hold it up and see what you think. You might end up wanting to have a slightly smaller balloon. So a little smaller. Yeah, so that might be a little bit better. But as I said before, if you wanted to draw your own limbs, then obviously it's a little bit easier to see what kind of proportions and different sizes you want. So I think that's a fairly good size for my head. So first what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 pieces of tape. Now we want our heads in all of these examples to go on the pointy end. So the butts are going to be the biggest part. So a little tricky. Okay, so for starters, we've got our head. Now next I'm going to do the tail. Now we want our tail to look about even with the head, so I think that's a good spot for it. Nice and work. And if you see here, when we cut out our tail, it's got a little bit of a curve to it, so it kind of fits along the curve of the balloon. All right, now for our legs. So we've got 2 different sizes. Now, depending on your opinion, I personally think that the smaller legs go on the front, so that's what I'm going to do. All right, and then we're going to take our back legs. And we're going to put those on. All right, now let's get going with the back. So again, you're gonna need 2 pieces of tape to have these stand up. Oops. It's caught me, it's spikes, that's what they're good for. They're good for catching things. All right, so then we've got these different little spikes. Now, it's up to you how you wanna do these. I'm doing the biggest spike in the middle because I think that looks nice and even. But it is up to your own creative methods. All right, so we've got a lot more spikes to go. I'm gonna show you a couple more and then we'll have you finish up on your own. Now, depending how big you blew your balloon up, you might have a little trouble fitting all the spikes. As you can see, mine are kind of crowded. That's okay. If you've got one left over, it's not a problem. If you want, you can put them a little bit sort of jagged. So, you know, not a perfectly straight line, one to the side a little bit, if that's what you feel like, just to make room. All right, so we got a couple more pieces and then I'll let you guys finish up. All right, so here's our finished product. As you can see, we've got our tail, head, spikes, our legs. All right, so now we can talk a little bit about why dinosaurs look the way they do. So our Stegosaurus here, you can see that it has spikes on its back and also on its tail. Now this is kind of interesting because Stegosauruses are herbivores. So they don't go out and hunt for their food. They don't eat meat or anything like that. They just eat natural plants that they have around them. So this kind of confuses scientists actually, because it kind of makes them wonder, okay, why do they have these spikes? So far the best guess is it's a good way to defend themselves from predators. So say a big T-Rex comes over and it wants to like chomp down on them, it's gonna get a mouthful of spikes. So that won't be very pleasant for the T-Rex. And then the T-Rex is gonna learn, hey, I probably shouldn't bite that kind of dinosaur. So a little fun facts about dinosaur track sites as well. So we know what paleontologists are, right? Those are people that study fossils. But ichnologists, those are people that specifically study dinosaur tracks or any markings left behind like dinosaurs, like belly prints or just like trails in the mud left by their tail. Now this is really interesting because we can learn a lot about dinosaurs from their tracks. For instance, their size. So think about your own feet. Your feet are the size they are because that's a good balance for holding up your body. Now imagine that your feet currently were half the size. Do you think it would be pretty hard to walk and stand? Probably. Now imagine that they were twice the size. That'd be pretty clunky, right? You would just be making really loud noises every time you walked. So we can tell from a dinosaur's tracks roughly what their height and size would have been, their length. Now we can tell length by looking at how many steps they took. So say we've got 6 dinosaur tracks in a line. Say they're about this long. So we know that that is how long they take to step with one foot to the next. We can tell the same things when looking at humans and other animals. Some other fun things we can tell about dinosaurs just from looking at their bodies. So as I was saying, we can tell a little bit about them just, whether they're a meat eater or whether they're a plant eater. So herbivore and carnivore. So we can, for instance, take a look at their teeth. If they've got pretty sort of flat, a little bit worn down teeth, it's more likely that they are a plant eater. Now let's think of some modern animal examples we can compare that to. So let's say horses or cows. They chew up a lot of plant materials like grass and hay and all of that. They've got very flat teeth because there's a lot of wearing down. But animals like carnivores, like let's say a wolf or anything with really pointy teeth or even like a rat, they have pointy teeth because that's really good for tearing up meat. And that's what you're gonna need when you eat the meat. So going over what we learned today, we know that people who study dinosaur tracks are specifically called ichnologists. We also learned that we can tell a lot about a dinosaur from their tracks. For instance, we can tell their height, how long they were, how big they were, and how long their pace was, so how long it took from one step to the other. We can also tell a little bit about them just by what their feet kind of look like. So if they had like long claws on their feet, it's a good chance that would have been good for hunting and not so much for eating like natural plant life. We also know that when we look at their teeth, which we can find in fossils, that if they had flatter, less pointy teeth, it's possible it's more likely that they had a more plant-heavy diet instead of meat-heavy. Thank you everyone so much for joining us today here at the Museum of Culpeper History. Please check back on our education page on our website for any further videos and also for any information about upcoming dates for hands-on history in person for ages 2 to 5 and 6 to 11 in 2022. If you want to visit our website, go to culpepermuseum.com. If you would like to email us, please email education@culpepermuseum.com. All right, everybody, have a good day. And if you want to, you can let your dinosaurs fight now.